Genevieve's going to talk to us about what's going on in the library.
Yes.
And kind of update us on everything.
Okay.
So, all yours.
Wow, it's been a while since I've stood behind this podium.
Flashbacks?
Yeah. So today I want to talk to you about public libraries and economic development. And I realize that you may be asking yourself, what the heck is a public library director doing talking about economic development? And it's a reasonable question. And it's a question, I think, that is very much rooted in a very nostalgic view of public libraries. This is a picture of the Williamsburg Library back when it was on Francis Street many, many years ago during the 1930s and 1940s. And we actually still have the sign that you see here in our possession at the library. And I think people have, again, very nostalgic views about public libraries. You may be thinking about a public librarian that you knew back when you were a child who was very much a grandmotherly type. Or you may be thinking about a librarian that you knew as a child who was very stern and said this to you, shh. And I will tell you, one of the things that happens when I'm on an airplane and my seatmate discovers that I'm a librarian, it happens just about every time. And he, and it's usually a he, feels very compelled to tell me about his overdue library bills. And I'm not really sure what's up with that, but I think part of it is rooted in the fact that we're in a small, confined, very intimate environment, not unlike a confessional. And I'm a recovering Roman, so I know all about what it's like to be in a confessional. And so, as a recovering Roman, I absolve my seatmate of his sins and thank him for supporting his local public library. Because, at least at Williamsburg Regional Library, those overdue fines are a $62,000 revenue stream every single year. So again, thank you for supporting your local public library. And when we start talking about a $62,000 revenue stream, we then transition into really what is the contemporary Williamsburg Regional Library, which is a $6.4 million operation every year with 110 people on the staff. So let's talk a little bit about contemporary public libraries and what we do. Particularly for the Williamsburg Regional Library, we exist because of a contract amongst the City of Williamsburg, James City County, and York County. And like all contracts, the contract makes it very explicit what the roles and responsibilities are of those three jurisdictions. And that contract actually contains a funding formula that's based on the circulation of library materials amongst the three jurisdictions. And because James City County users circulate the most library materials, James City County is contributing the most to Williamsburg Regional Library. Over $4 million a year, about 70% of our funding. We have a strategic plan that we've just updated, and I could speak for the whole time on that, but the strategic plan makes it very clear that our mission is to inform, enrich, and strengthen our communities. I love that mission statement because it's all about the verbs: inform, enrich, and strengthen. You'll also know that not only am I a recovering Roman, I'm also a recovering English major, so I get really excited about verbs. And the way we inform, enrich, and strengthen our community is really four different things: collections, programs, services, and facilities. So what do I mean when I talk about those four things? Well, collections, I would be very technical and refer to them as our stuff. And by stuff, I mean the materials that are on our shelves in physical format, whether it's a book or a DVD or a magazine. I'm also talking increasingly about stuff that's digital. So these are the downloadable ebooks and audiobooks and music that we have available to our users. And I will tell you, when we were closed during the storm very recently, we had a huge uptick in the circulation of all of our digital things. People, bless their hearts, still had power at home, and they were being able to download things onto their Kindles and their Nooks and other devices while the library was physically closed. So collections are our stuff. Programs are the content that we deliver to groups of people, whether that is a concert in in our Williamsburg Library Theater, 268 seats. It's really a hidden gem within the Williamsburg community. Whether it's something like our summer reading program that we're delivering to over 4,000 children in our community every summer. So it's content for groups. Services are the one-on-one things that we do for people, whether it's checking out an item, whether it's answering a question at the desk, whether it's providing recommendations on what you might like to read next based on what you tell us about what you've read before and what you really like. And Dennis, I know you've taken advantage of that particular recommendation service. We call it looking for a good book. And then facilities are also absolutely critical to the services that we provide. We currently have 2 library buildings, one on Scotland Street in the city of Williamsburg, one in James City County out on Croker Road. And our local jurisdictions are making enormous investments in those facilities, millions of dollars of investment in those facilities. And just for the city of Williamsburg, Nick, you were reading in the Gazette, the city of Williamsburg is making a $250,000 investment in a new chiller for the Williamsburg Library so that we can all be comfortable in that building this coming summer. So the facilities are really important, and not only do we have the physical buildings, but we're also going out into the community with our vehicles. So we're going to all of the continuing care communities, including Williamsburg Landing, and we're not just pulling a vehicle up and asking people to come on, because we know, particularly in the continuing care communities, that's not a model that works very well. We're actually physically going into those facilities and bringing materials directly to users who may have limited mobility.
And when they come, it sounds like a cocktail party out there. It's amazing.
We're also going into 26 area preschools with those vehicles, and we're also going into neighborhoods throughout the community, all of which are neighborhoods that are economically disadvantaged. So we know that people in those neighborhoods may not be able to come to us, so we will come to them. So that's a broad picture of Williamsburg Regional Library in a contemporary sense, and I want to talk about 4 specific ways that we contribute to economic development. And the first one, I think, is a little bit of a reach for some people, but once you start thinking about it, it makes a whole lot of sense. When we think about economic development, one of the first things we're talking about these days is workforce readiness. And Cindy, I know Thomas Nelson is right in the forefront of that movement. And workforce readiness begins at home. It begins with early literacy and school readiness. You're not going to be workforce ready if you don't know how to read. And so what Williamsburg Regional Library has done, and public libraries have done for years and years and years, is really contribute to early literacy. And we do that through a whole variety of ways, including things like our summer reading program, including things like the winter read program that we have going on right now in area preschools all the way through the 1st grade. And one thing that has really developed in very recent years is this whole concept of, what are the activities that are really contributing to early literacy? And there are 5 of them, and let me see if I can rattle them all off. Obviously, reading, writing, talking, singing, and playing. And Williamsburg Regional Library is really focusing on all 5 ways of developing early literacy. And one of the most recent contributions that we've made in this area is putting in what we call Play More, Learn More areas at both of our library buildings, both at the James City County Library and the Williamsburg Library on Scotland Street. And those areas are equipped with really high quality play kitchens, play farmers market, play washer and dryer, all those kinds of equipment, as well as small toys like cars that you can use in a play garage, and on a wonderful rug that we have in both areas to play like you're driving on the road. And of course, from a Rotary perspective, we've just installed 2 amazing tree sculptures in the Play More, Learn More area out of the county library that makes that area even more inviting. Because play is the primary learning activity for small children. And when you're playing, while it's a lot of fun, you're also learning about things like sequencing, about cooperation, about all the kinds of things that contribute to early literacy. All right, next area where we are making a contribution is the whole area of building workforce participation. We're very much a center for job applications and job search help because we have over 200 public computers in both of our buildings. We all know that now when you want to apply for a job, you really need to do so online. And so if you are someone who doesn't have high-speed internet access at home and needs to use a computer, we're a place that you can come and get that high-speed internet access to make a job application. Also to do a resume, because we have those same computers that are equipped with the Microsoft Office suite. We offer a variety of resume workshops and job fairs at the library. We also offer technology training. So if you're coming back into the workforce after a hiatus and you need to get your Excel skills up to speed, we have classes to help you do that. Or if you're somebody who's never even used a mouse before, and I know it's hard to believe, but there are people out there who haven't, we can give you a class to help learn that very, very basic skill. So the classes are from the very, very basic to much more sophisticated ones, even including classes on things like LinkedIn. Next area that we're contributing to economic development has to do with small business support, and you have a brochure on your tables about the business resources we have available at the Williamsburg Regional Library. And most of these resources are now digital. And so we have digital collections that are going to help a small business conduct market research or produce financial reports. And one digital item that I do want to highlight for you is our subscription to a database called lynda.com. And it offers online courses in business, software, technology, and creative skills. It's really an online training tool both for individuals who are library users, but we are even using it within our own staff of 110 to help us all get up to speed on various tools that are new to us and that we all need to know about. So I would commend that to you, and that's accessible to you with a Williamsburg Regional Library card from your office, from your home, from wherever you may be. And then the final way that I want to highlight our contributions to economic development really have to do with the power of place. The Williamsburg Regional Library, both of our buildings, are very much a destination for the community. And I'm delighted that we have in our weekly bulletin a blurb here on the Great Decisions series that we're about to host with the League of Women Voters at the Williamsburg Library. This is a series that brings together a wonderful cross-section of the community for some enrichment from really high-powered speakers, including, retired generals, retired diplomats, all sorts of folks who really know a lot about the world and are eager to share it with an audience. And that series takes place, as I said, at the Williamsburg Library in our 268-seat theater. We also provide meeting rooms for the public at both of our buildings. And if you've ever tried to book a meeting room, particularly at my Williamsburg Library, you may find yourself out of luck because those meeting rooms are in perpetual use by all sorts of members of the community, whether it's the Master Gardeners, Master Naturalists, the Homeowners Association, private individuals who are making presentations, let's say on estate planning or something of that nature.
Which we'll be doing in a month.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're one of my clients,
Yeah.
one of my paying customers, Jason. I'm delighted about that. So those meeting rooms are perpetually filled to capacity, to the point where I can't even find space for my own staff to meet for various and sundry meetings. My trustees, my friends, my foundation, we're all finding that there's no room at the inn. And that's where the Stryker Center, which is pictured on this slide, comes into play. And I suspect a lot of you have been reading lots of things about the Stryker Center in the last word. Certainly the architectural exterior of the building is the subject of some discussion in the community. Regardless of what you think about the exterior of the Stryker Center, I can assure you that the interior is gorgeous. And the reason that I know the interior is gorgeous is because 75% of that building will be administered by the Williamsburg Regional Library. Part of it is devoted to City Council's chamber and workroom, but the remainder is public meeting rooms that will be administered by the library, an exhibit space that we will administer, as well as a small suite of administrative offices. So guess who's getting a new office in just a few weeks?
When is that going to open?
It looks like the grand opening for the building will be March 7th. We have furniture being delivered the week of February 15th, so I mean it's just around the corner, and we'll be reserving meeting rooms for the public beginning in April. And those meeting rooms are going to give us the opportunity to do even more than we've been able to do for the community in the past as a destination, a place to come together and to be a community. The exhibit space in particular is exciting to me because it gives us the opportunity to bring in exhibits that we really haven't had space for in the past. I'm talking about traveling exhibits from places like the American Library Association or the Library of Virginia or the National Endowment for the Humanities. And it's not just about the stuff to look at in that space. It's the associated programming, whether it's a lecture or a concert or a story time or the kinds of things that really add value to that exhibit. And it will also really help us be even more of a part of the City of Williamsburg Art District, where we can again have space to show various kinds of art exhibits that make us a vital part of that arts district. So with that, I know we're getting close to time, but I would be happy to take any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm basically out of Yorktown, and we out of Yorktown contribute money every year to the Williamsburg Library.
You do.
And do we get any services from that mobile van for minority areas that you talked about earlier, coming out into the northern part of York County?
Sure. Under the contract for library services, we're not doing a whole lot with mobile library services for Upper York County. That being said, we do some work with the schools in Upper York County, like Magruder and Waller Mill Elementary.
And you're probably aware of, there's been a debate in York County whether or not you fund our own live up here, but basically they said, no, we can't. All the money we still have to contribute to you. What do we get for our bang for our buck?
You get 80% of the borrowing privileges that James City County and Williamsburg Library users get, so you're getting to check out 30-some odd items at any given time and place holds on materials. Because
you said 80% of what, if I was county rep JCC or Williamsburg, I would get 100%, but since I'm York County, I would get 80%.
Right, and that's the
contribute.
The funding formula. It determines that. But I want to be really clear about the fact that you have to be a resident of the 3 funding jurisdictions in order to check out materials from Williamsburg Regional Library. We don't circulate materials to residents of other jurisdictions. Clay?
One thing that's really great about the library is Yorktown would share it, as I found, is you don't have to go to the library for a lot of the services. Like if you want to download audiobook,
Right?
or an ebook, or even music, you don't have to leave your study.
Right.
As long as you're a resident of one of those 3 communities.
Correct.
And I assume Yorktown enjoys the same benefit as those
They do.
of us who live in James City County.
The answer is true, yeah, we do. Okay.
Tom, did you have a question?
Well, I just want to follow up to Dave's comment. So a library card is screened based on zip code, is that correct?
It's actually screened on the basis of your residence,
Personal address then?
which we verify now, quite frankly, through Google Earth. I kid you not.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we can take one more if anybody else had a question. No? All right.
That good, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you bought it, so you knew it was coming. But we will, I could just give it to you.
Yes, just give it to me. I know
I know
the
even
drill.
have a certificate
No,
for
you
you, so.
don't, because I didn't make one.
There you go. Nice.
Jason, thank you.
For our guests, I will say, what we do is to honor our speakers, we donate a book to the local library, the Children's Library, with a name plaque in it to basically recognize the fact that they came and presented. Genevieve, being with the library, provides the book, so it's a little...
It's like Coles to Newcastle.
That's right, that's right. There you go. Awesome,
Okay,
thank
thanks.
you. And as you know, you have one...
I do have one last duty.
One last duty.
And those are my tickets, thank you
These are
very much.
yours?
Jason trying to rip you off.